I was so hoping that they wouldn't, and for a second, like, because of how bizarre and how many different angles the movie seemed to have, I was like, oh, they're probably not gonna do it, and it's just like they did, and I was just like, I really don't want to be disappointed, but I kind of am.
Yeah, like I would say that's probably the weakest part of the movie so far in our just
It
little
was, and the fact that it was like the
15 minutes.
finale, like
Yeah.
it was like one of the reveals, and it was just like, oh, okay. And
Saw it
like
a mile away.
and like
Kilometers.
I realize, that it's like you said, it was terrible what happened to her, and it is a very it
Not good thing.
no, yeah, and it makes sense, like, that it would uh events like that could change a person so much. um but yeah, it was so, it's so like run of the, not run of the, but it makes it sound so bad, but like
Yeah.
I'm not disregarding what happened to her,
That's what
but
I'm saying. Like, I hate to say it's cliche, but that's exactly what it feels like. It's just got, like I
yeah.
said, it's just like as soon as they said it, I was like, ah, there we go. I know what this is. And like you said, the whole movie, I was kind of thinking like, all right, this is they it's a red herring. They threw it out there. They know what you're gonna think, and they're gonna pull the rug out and be something else. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, no. I don't know how else they could have explained it.
Yeah.
I think maybe the shock value, and especially like the detail she goes into explaining, this event, or event/event, like the shock value, like I don't think you could get that from any other explanation. But it didn't feel like it added anything. Like I think if they would have left it out, that scene wouldn't have had the punch.
No,
But it's
yeah.
also like the punch didn't really add anything either. And if you take that away and like just have her not say the events or say it was something else, and it was just the stark difference of being in this war torn land and then this like warm loving home, and like she's and
Right.
she just hated both of them because they were
Yeah.
extremes from either end. The scene wouldn't have had the punch, but and it still I think probably would have felt weak. But like I said, I don't really. I hate to criticize creators' stuff because I couldn't do better, but two, you're also as the viewer, you're kind of entitled to point out flaws and
No,
things
yeah,
like
and it's
that.
like you want to enjoy what they're showing you, but like, if it doesn't, if something kind of feels off, you can't. It's your right to be able to, say, okay, well, this felt kind of off for me.
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree. I totally agree with you on that particular point. And it also brings up a very, very, it's not so much talked about anymore, but because a bunch of other tropes have sort of eclipsed it in terms of people's sort of cliche, like, list of cliche tropes that are overused and overdone and stuff. But like that particular trope, like that event as a backstory is I would agree, and I am in the party that it is very, very frequently overused. And I'm not saying that it's okay. I mean, I'm not saying that like it doesn't happen, and I'm not dismissing it in any way, but just I feel like with all of the elements that the creators brought into this movie, into this idea, they could have not been more creative, but like, I mean, she was such a mystery, yeah? Like, I couldn't figure out what the fuck she was or who. And I was just, I guess I was hoping for more, and
Yeah.
it's just like one of those things where, the creators kind of just weave this sort of really intricate story, and you're caught up in it, and it's just like you sort of get too far ahead of yourself, and it's just like when they get to that sort of reveal or that point, you sort of like just like fall flat on your face because it's like,
Yeah. I don't know if it was the translation, because obviously I don't speak glorious Nipponese, but the conversation with the mom, I think, at least it was translated to say too much. I don't know if it did in the original language, but the translation, there are several key things I think that were given away in that conversation that I don't think were that hindered the story a little bit too, because like up until that point she's dead. Like you everybody says she's dead, nobody says anything different, but there's a translation of a key line in there that said some student wanted, or she was going to donate her body, or some student asked if she would donate her body or something like this, and by that point she was already very weak when he took her, meaning she was not dead.
Right.
And right there I was like, oh, okay, so she's still alive, and you don't really find that out till much later in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of like, well, I mean, maybe most people didn't catch it. Again, it might just
Spoiler
be how
alert.
they translate it. Yeah, spoiler! It might just be how it was translated, because I know, there are some language barriers.
I don't know enough Japanese to know. I know that they didn't straight up say, other than when she said, oh, like before she mentioned she was weak, like, didn't she say like she was gone or something, like, or some vague thing to like she died or something like this. But I never actually heard, at least, what I thought would say, like, she's like definitively dead. Like, I didn't hear like she's dead. But again, I'm not fluent in Japanese, so.
At first I thought they were going to go the AI route, like they turned her into the AI, and that's what's either the base for Harmony or what she's become self-aware, whatever, and is, for lack of a better term, an infection that's causing this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of glad. It's kind of cool that they did go with just the threat of all, basically causing people just to go ape shit. That's kind of different, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, like there are elements that I really liked about it, and then there are elements that are kind of like, huh, which is the same with any other anime or movie or show you watch.
Right.
But I don't think that I think that this is a little bit different, just because it's one of those thought-provoking films.
Yeah, the architecture. Not that it was weird. I mean, especially Bubblegum City was weird, but like in the beginning, you see like these huge towers with these ornate spiraling, helix-looking things, and then you get to Bubblegum City for a bunch of the movie, and then you get to like weird super tower mega palace in the desert thing with blocky buildings, and then old world bizarre, like, kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think I bet you though that if we were to sort of look at some of the architecture in those countries, they were it was very much trying to be an international film, sort of like, there was heavy focus accurate on Japan, but it's where it originated, and it almost felt like they were, because a lot of the movie took place in their version of futuristic Japan. It almost felt like they were like, how do I say this without because Japan is one of the top technological places in the world. The gap is closing very quickly now, but for when you think technology, Japan is really high on the list, and just like it almost feels like it's, how do I say this, like
the sub buildings, like when she's walking through and when you see the cars and the vehicles and like the airport towers, very fancy, but just like the general buildings were almost generic in their design, other than their like weird gooey webby bits that if you're just listening to this doesn't make sense, but when you see it, it just looks like someone took some
I'll put a screenshot
goo and and like globbed it on a building and just kind of like splatted, and that's the exterior part of the exterior framework. And while it might be purely cosmetic and not serve any structural purpose, I mean, maybe it's also because of the fact that it was just pink everywhere, which I'm not offended by the color pink, but it's just like, dear God, it looks like the city was made out of bubblegum. Like that is exactly what it looks like. It's just like someone took a big slab of bubblegum and carved a city out of it. And like I said, there are some architecture, like I said, the spire, the aircraft spire or airport spires, I guess you can call them. Those are really neat, and the airships. But like when she's walking through the airport, you could tell like, oh hey, like if you've seen a big airport, you'd be like, oh yeah, that looks like an airport, but it looks a little fancier, stuff like that. And the weird little bubblegum cars, that hover car things.
Right.
I was gonna say, unless you had something else to add, that was probably a good place to stop now, and we can ponder on this for a little while, and maybe next time I'm free, we can think about maybe some more talky talk.
Right. Yeah. But no, if whoever is watching is able to watch the movie, please do. Please do. It's definitely worth it. It was like 2 hours, wasn't it? Not 2 hours. It was like.
No, it was 2 hours. It was 1 hour 59 minutes
right,
and some seconds.
It's 2 hours. Wow.
And surprisingly, it wasn't a lot of, and maybe I'm just used to sort of English American Hollywood movies where like the last 20 minutes is credits. Like it was really only the last 5 minutes was credits. Like
right, yeah.
I was like, it got to 1 hour and 40 minutes, and I was like, oh hey, we got about 10 minutes left, and I was like, okay, no, keep going. Keep going. Okay. Wow. Okay. And then
but it didn't feel like 2 hours. It didn't feel like a 2-hour movie.
No, it didn't.
So yeah, please check it out and stuff. And yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that for now.
Johnny,
do it for Miyuki. Actually, like the last thing coming out of that is like still not enough Miyuki. She didn't talk enough. But yeah, sorry.
You may in fact have a problem.
I do have a problem. I will be the first to admit I have a serious problem. But yeah, okay, I'm stopping now.